What up? What up? It's your boy Sean P coming in live, man. How y'all doing, family? Giving you another Sean P experience, man. How y'all doing out there? It's wonderful Thursday afternoon. It's the lunch, so hopefully you had a good, productive, positive first half of your day. And now we're going over into the lunchtime, the halftime for most people on the job, right? So today, as you already know, while we here, we have another Grand Slam author interview. I'm about to get my sister to come on right now. I'm gonna send an invite out to her. Send the invite out. We over here doing it, getting it in, man. It's the hoodie edition. You see, we outside. It's kind of brisk here in Louisiana. They had a cool front last night, so I'm outside doing the hoodie edition. Hoodie provided by Books and Vogue. That's our sister Cat. For those that know Cat, holler at the sister. Get you a hoodie. It's hoodie season. It's that time, so that's what we doing. So I got my invite out to my guests. I got my laptop ready to rock and roll. I got my questions on deck. Always stay ready. And we're going to get it in, man. So we're going to do what we do. We all jet set over here on this side. I know she got a few handles. I don't know exactly which one she going to use for this interview, but we're going to send a couple invites out. Got my nice cup of Joe, keep me warm on the inside. While I'm out here and enjoying the ambiance, man, get some of this sunlight, some of this fresh air, right? Make sure everything going smooth. Just gotta bring my sister on and we are rocking and rolling. Making sure all the systems are go. On my side. Oh, there she go. There she goes. She got the wave back. And there she goes. She coming into the building. Here we go. She rocking and rolling. I got my sister coming in. I got her coming in right now. She just hit me back. She just hit me back. There we go. What up, sis?
Peace. What's going on with you, Sean? How you doing?
Man, I'm doing fantastic, man. How you doing is the question.
Oh, I'm good. I can't complain at all.
Ain't no need for it. Ain't no need for it, right? If you're keeping it positive.
Right.
I'm over here ready to rock and roll. I'm always excited for these interviews. You are the kind of person where even if you didn't have any publications, I would still want you on my platform. I feel like you and your husband have so much to offer to the community, books or not. I would still want a person like you on my platform for the community, man. So that's how I feel about it, you know.
I appreciate that, man. That's a big compliment coming from you. I appreciate that. I appreciate it.
That's real. That's real. That's real. So for those that don't know, I'm excited about this.
Okay.
My sister right here, she was my first ever guest on the Sean P Presents on the IG. She was the first person that ever told me yes. And that's monumental because if y'all know it or not, I ask a lot of people to come up here. I don't get that many yeses. It looks like I'm always doing interviews. I get a lot more no's than yes. She was my first certified, bona fide yes. And as we all know, that one yes unlocked the door for the opportunity. So I feel like she is the gatekeeper, if you will, in this space.
I appreciate it.
She did that for me.
Oh well, it was a pleasure, man. You did me a favor. You know, that was my first time speaking like about the book at the time. So, you know, we just look at it like it was just a mutual thing. You know what I'm saying? But I definitely appreciate. I appreciate it for sure.
Yeah. Secondly, I gotta give you your flowers, right? Not many people. I'll put it like this: you can just sit back and cross your legs and then prop up for a second while I just gloat a little bit on you. So, in the past 5 years or so, a lot of people call my phone for advice on writing books. A lot of people I've met with in person at Starbucks or wherever about publishing books. Not many people ever follow through.
Yeah.
Now I'm looking at you in a short period of time with not one, but two publications.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I want to
yeah.
give you your props and your husband on following through, doing the actual leg work, doing the process, working out all the kinks and all that stuff that happens in that process, and doing it multiple times. How that feel being a two-time author? Tell me about that. How that feel?
It feels
Two times.
real good. That feels real good because it's funny. I'm gonna tell you, I was on Facebook this morning, and you know how you can look at your memories and check your
Always.
memories.
Always.
And I had a memory on today, 5 years ago, and it
Wow.
said, "Man, I need to stop playing and go ahead and write this book."
Yes.
And
Yes.
I was like,
Yes.
"Wow, that came full circle." But a lot of
Yeah.
I do gotta say, though, for real, my husband, even though he ain't on the live right
He
now,
is.
but
I
yeah,
see his name. He
he's
in the
just in the
building.
room.
He in the building. Yeah, he in the building.
Right,
Yeah.
right. His
He
energy
in the
present.
midst. He in
I
the
gotta
midst.
give it to him though. I gotta give it
Yeah.
to him because
Yeah.
he really
That's
kept
good.
it there. You know what I'm saying? He
That's
kept
good.
that push, and that first book was really all him. I just helped to
Yeah.
formulate it. You know what I'm saying? But that
Yeah.
first book was really all him. And so
Yeah.
with this one, that second time, it felt more. Like it was foundation on what I wanted to really write. So to get it done that second time was just as profound as the first time. You know what I'm saying? Because the first time I was like, okay, I know I can do it. We went through
Yeah.
and did everything, all the little technical things. But
Yeah.
it was that second time, even though that process, like knowing what to do was there, it was harder for me though to write this one than it was the first. See, I probably really already had this book written, man, for like 2 years, but
Wow.
really
Wow.
putting it, like to get it was sporadic. It was sporadic, you know what I'm saying? So, but
Yeah.
but getting it done that second time was just as pivotal to me as it
Yeah.
was the first time. So,
And we're all different. I don't want to put any words in anybody's mouth. You tell me your experience. I'm asking the question.
right?
Doing it the second time, did it feel more like real than the first? Like sometimes it feel like beginner's luck, right? Like my first time
Yeah.
being number one on Amazon, that shit was unreal. But it was a kind of a small smidgen of, maybe it just happened.
Maybe I just
But
got lucky.
that second time, and then the
Hmm.
third time, that's official. That's a wrap. Like the third
Right,
time was like,
because
you can't tell me nothing.
that's right, because it's like, well, it's one thing to do it, but it's
Yeah, I
like, can
mean,
you duplicate it?
can you see?
Right? Can you
That's
duplicate
that
it? You
next
feel me?
tier, right?
Cause
That's that
that's
next tier.
math. So you
It's
find something that
it's
you good
levels.
at, right? You find something that you good at, and you multiply. You know what I'm saying? So that's really the thing is
See,
is doing it like that
I'm rocking out already, right? So because
already.
it's powerful because my mentor and I was talking last Saturday, and my mentor, shout out to him, he has done this thing in the business world. He has manifested a lot of phenomenal big things, right? And we
Hmm.
was talking about, for example, let's say whenever an African American family finally move into a well-to-do situation,
Hmm.
other black people in the neighborhood kind of give you a head nod, like, all right, I see you back here. I see you doing your thing. But the real question is, can you stay back here?
Right, right.
To get back here is one thing. How long you gonna stay back
Stay.
here? It's a
Hmm.
whole.
Yeah,
So
cause
being
it's
a
a whole
multiple
different
time
game.
author kind of feel like that.
It
I know a lot of
does.
folks wrote one book, and I ain't saying no slight on nobody. A lot of folks came in, a flash in the pan, but can you do it multiple times? That's the
Hmm.
ultimate question, right?
Yeah, yeah. Cause I mean, if we being honest, writing nowadays is a big piece of marketing.
It
So it's
is.
like you say, so it is a significant amount of people who write only one book, and they just get themselves established off of just doing the one book. So I definitely get what you're
Right,
saying in that.
right, right, right. So tell me, how did you feel after the reception of the first project? After that first book went out there, people got copies, they got feedback, people hitting you up, probably. I'm sure
Yeah,
you getting reviews, maybe. How did that feel after the first project?
the first after the first project, it felt like wow. It was like probably like a trance. Like I can't believe it really happened. Then you get it in your hand, especially when you get that book in your hand. When you get it in your hand, because it went from your mind to physically on that paper, and that just changed everything.
Give me a timeout, Coach. Give me a timeout. I
Okay.
want you to tell the viewers that never wrote before, how did it feel whenever that box come in the mail and you crack that seal and you open it up, you see your how to give them the emotions, give them visceral, let them know. Cause I cried. I ain't gonna lie, I'm a man. I cried.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
telling
how
you,
it
I cried.
feel. That's how it
I
feel
cried.
because it's like
I cried. It's giving birth. You giving birth.
with this one, when I opened it and got this one, I cried with this one because like it felt like it was everything I had, man. That I just put it here because a lot of I'm a very observative individual, you know. So I pick up on a lot of stuff. I read a lot. I'm knowledgeable about a lot of things, but sometimes that can be so hard to communicate. You know what I mean? And so this one was so close to my heart, you know. So when you first open it up, it's like it's your baby, you know.
It
And
is.
I got kids, you
You
know.
do.
But
You
it's
do.
like
You
it's
do.
your baby. It's something that you
It
created.
is.
It really went from your mind, and you think about everything that tried to stop you from getting it done. All the times you thought you couldn't do it. All the times you had the writer's block. All the times you just didn't know if you was gonna be able to get through. Just so many. Everything that you worked through to do it.
Bro.
It's that.
Bro.
It's that.
Bro. If I did a whole video on how many roadblocks I had on my first project, you'd be like, man, all that happened?
Yep.
Your cover, everybody love the cover of Wish Your Kick. It got rejected that many times from Amazon?
Mm,
The manuscript itself got rejected that many times?
right.
To get the copyright and this and that, that happened that many times. To get the ISBN number, that happened that many times. Like,
Yep.
people have no idea, besides
How
my inner circle, how
much you got to go
frustrating it
through.
could be until it finally happens.
Mm-hmm.
Matter of fact, I went to the library on like a whim, right? The librarian knew my book was live on Amazon before I did. I didn't even know.
Mm.
And she typed it up and turned the screen to me like, look. And I'm in the
Yeah.
library like,
Wow.
oh, snap. Like, it's real. You know
Yep.
what
And
I'm
then
saying?
like that first time, like I didn't even like because you know how Amazon do too. Like when they got that little gap period, and then you get that first pay, and I was like, oh man, you know, it's my first time getting it, and it's like
Yeah,
it's just
yeah.
surreal. It's just all
It
surreal
is.
to
It
you,
is. Yeah.
you know.
But, whenever I have these author interviews, I love to go into the fine-tuned details of it because, like,
Yep.
whenever you're wanting to be an author, whenever you haven't crossed the bridges yet, if you will,
Right.
you have all these perceptions in your mind of what it's like to be an author, what it's like, that process, what it's like. And I want to try to give the fact versus the fiction much as I can for anybody that's on here that want to write, you want to be an
Right.
author, you want to do the process. I want to give y'all as real as I can to make that
Gotcha.
thing manifest, man. You know,
Yeah.
make that thing manifest. Let me ask you another question. What was the difference in the writing process, the first project versus this project? What was different about that writing process for you?
Well, this one, me and my husband, and he'll probably tell you the exact describe it the exact same way. A lot of it was conversation, just conversation, and like because we build with each other so much, you know, because
I
we
could
do
imagine.
everything that
I
we
could
do
imagine.
is so intermingled when we create it, when we, you know, information, all the different people that we work with and everything. So a lot of this in this process of this was a lot of our conversations that we have, and we're all and what we came to terms with in a lot of our conversations is, well, how do we talk about this with other people? And that was the
See,
aha of the book.
you just drop a major key because I'm in the self-help lane as well. So maybe it's different than the fictional writing world, but like I love whenever somebody read my book and they say, "Sure." That sounds like whenever you just talk. That sounds like whenever you just running it on the phone with me. It sounds just like that. I'm like,
Yeah.
that's on purpose because a lot of times I might have some little bullet point idea. We did it before ourselves. I might have an idea about a certain concept, and through me talking to you about fleshing out the concept, now I done fleshed the whole chapter out. I done
Yep.
fleshed it out.
Yep.
As I'm running with somebody, me and my man Cliff Roy Jr., me and my OG Keith Nicholson, some of the main ones I go to brainstorm ideas. We flesh it out, and I just put it on the paper. Is all I'm
Yeah.
doing.
It's that passion, man. It's like how can I word it? It's like it's really inspiration, man. It's really inspiration driven, and that's how we both are in our most comfortable space when we're creating. It has to flow. I
Yeah.
cannot force it. It can't be forced. It has to flow. And that's how this was. It flowed like a conversation. So it
Yeah.
felt easy once it started to flow. But in the process of it too, we ourselves dealt with a lot because
Of
we had to
course. Of
uncover
course.
a lot
Of course.
to put it
Of
all in
course.
this. You know what I mean? So,
You know,
you know,
I find that God does it on purpose, in my opinion. Like whenever you want to write about a particular topic, it might be just a concept in your mind to write about this certain topic, but God gonna make you go through that
yeah.
to really see how you feel about that topic right here. He gonna make you go through. In my book, What's Your Kick? I had a chapter on overcoming obstacles.
Hmm.
We had an actual death in our family right when it was time to write that chapter.
Yep. Yeah, that's how it
I
be.
had other things I wanted to write about, and I know people around me in my circle that they have certain things, they have relationship topics, and then a big old roadblock in their relationship happened in real life right before writing that. So
Yeah.
you gonna go through that fire to see if it's real. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
That's a
That's
real
true.
test.
That's true though. It's
You want to
true.
write about it? Let's see what you got. Let's see.
I mean,
Let's see
because
you
you
do it.
gotta break down being an author, what it means to be an author. You're basically an authority of what it is that you're speaking about. So what is
See,
giving you? You feel what I'm saying? So
see.
that's how we know.
You said it earlier in the conversation about some people that write like one book just to be a marketing piece. Like the minute I write this publication, now I'm now deemed the authority on whatever said matter is. And so now, doing my speaking engagements and doing my meet and greets and all that, I have what's that word? Oh, a flagship product to put in
Exactly.
front of y'all. You know what I'm saying? What's going
Exactly.
on, Crystal? I see you in the building. Yeah. So let me ask you this question. It's a trick question.
Okay.
If you don't want to answer, we'll just keep on moving. I know your hubby in the building, right? What was it like to write with your husband as a because I've never written anything with somebody before. And secondly, in a lot of relationships, a husband and a wife could barely even go to the gym together and work out without falling out. They can barely even pick furniture together. They can barely even get a vehicle together. Like
Yeah.
they can barely even decorate a house together without clashes. So what's it like to literally write with your spouse?
Okay. Good question. All right. So, well, we didn't like sit down beside each other and just write it. It was very non. The way we do everything, I think, is really non-conventional. So, like I say, a lot of it was conversation. So when we get to digging, because that's kind of what we do, like everything we do is centered around helping people in some ways or having to deal with themselves. And so there's times that my husband comes to, certain things when he dealing with certain people, certain topics, certain things that, and we just come together, and we kind of put our minds together on it. And I think a lot of it too has to do with the fact that both of us kind of have dealt with the same kind of traumas. So like growing up, we never
Mm.
really seen very healthy relationships or marriages. Neither one of us, honestly and true, never really seen it. And it was something that we both wanted. We both wanted it. We both just had the same ideas, values on what it is that we wanted to build. And we went from there. Don't mean that we're going to always agree, because trust me, we disagree a lot. But a lot of times we can come out to something big on the other side of our disagreement. Because at the end of the
Mm.
day, we always trying to stay centered on the fact of, look, we both want this, we are trying to accomplish this, and we are on this path and this journey helping each other along the way.
Yeah.
And we
Yeah.
raising kids along the way with the same type of
Yeah.
values.
Yeah.
So, and
Yeah.
people, I think it kind of really boils down to that, what you really looking for in your relationship as far as,
Yeah.
and I think that's
Yeah.
why, honestly, and a lot of people want us to dig into relationships.
Yes, I'll go ask that question next.
People want us
Can
to
we get
dig into them.
can we get a relationship book up out of y'all, man?
Now, see, this is
We need a workbook, not a
we
book. We
might
need a
we might do
workbook.
that. We
We need a
might do
working
that
workbook. You
workbook.
know why?
That's a good
I'm gonna tell you right
idea.
now. Come on, man. I do this, right?
That's
Let me, let, 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 me- let,
yeah.
let me tell you this. For those that's watching that don't know your husband, these people are relationship goals. A lot of us have little memes on social media about goals. To me, y'all are goals because I'm not saying it in a condescending way or an inferior, superior way, but a lot of time in relationships, let's say one spouse is a lot more intelligent than the other spouse. This is what it is, right? Let's just say in some relationships, one spouse is more quote unquote church going or godly than the other spouse. You know, we see all these
Yeah.
matches,
Yep.
right?
Mhm.
Maybe somebody got a whole lot of in the conscious space. Most time, one spouse is really like super conscious, like they own it, and
And
the other
then the
spouse
other
kind of like, man, I don't care
spouse,
about
I don't
those
really
books and
deal with
all that.
it.
I don't want to hear all that,
Yeah.
whatever. So like y'all being the way you are together, I can only imagine them two brains in one household. But secondly, whenever y'all disagree, both of y'all got so much knowledge. Like, what the hell that sound like? Because I know how I
Hey,
am. Whenever I
hey,
disagree with
listen.
somebody, it can be because I'm coming with a certain energy and conviction on it because I know what I'm talking about.
Bro, they turn
I
into
ain't just
counseling sessions, bro.
know
They
what I'm
turn
talking
it. Listen,
about.
listen.
So
They
why
be
would be like,
turning it.
oh my God, son, you gotta be kidding me right now? I be going, I'm not mad, but I got
Right,
conviction in my voice
right,
because I know what I'm standing on.
right, right,
So
right.
both of y'all gotta be like that, I'm
We
sure.
are though, but you know it's
I
true what they
know.
say. It's still sharp and still because
Yeah,
he gonna check me and I'm gonna check him. But it's
yeah.
always like, man, it's like you said though, because he can be stubborn
You on that
and I
laughing
could be,
right now? You
yeah,
laughing?
he
You laughing?
laughing.
You
He
laughing?
can be stubborn and I
Shout
could
out
be
to the guy.
stubborn. You know
Of
what I'm
course,
saying?
of
And we can
course, of
both.
course,
But
of course,
but always at the end
of
of it though,
course.
for real, honestly, always at the end of it, man, we coming out on that thing like
Yes,
dealing with
yes,
something.
yes.
And if it's an ugly argument, it's probably because it's really something ugly that you got to deal with. And we just, for one, I'm gonna give him a lot of credit. I'm gonna give him a lot of credit. That man will stand up in the fire all the time. It's just what he do. You know, he the type of
Yeah.
person where he just want to confront something. He want to deal with it. You
That's
know,
me.
like this is
That's
how
me.
I feel, and
I'm
this is what
head
it
on,
is to me.
direct.
And I gotta let
Take
you
care of
know,
it.
even if that ain't what it is, this is how this is making me feel. And
Yeah.
he just a straightforward, direct. And I gotta give him so much because him being that way really pushed me to be my authentic self because that
Mhm.
was what
Mhm.
I struggled with coming out of this. Like
Yeah.
he helped me
Yeah.
to really be comfortable enough to like really be myself
See,
always.
people use words like confrontation in a negative context, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm a very humble, soft kind. I don't go around like bullying people, but I can be a very confrontational person in a sense of if something really bothering me or if something not right, I want to get to it.
Exactly. Yep.
I'm not a runner. I don't
I
want
don't.
to
Exactly.
avoid and go around and beat around the bush. And sometimes in a relationship, one person could be a runner and one person so like you chasing each other.
Mm-hmm.
I'm chasing you. You know what I'm saying? Instead of
Mm-hmm.
we gonna head up, deal with it, and then get over it. You
And
know?
then what happens a lot of times is people that person that's don't want to deal with it or they're not being, they have to go off and it's another party that they want to be themselves with. And then you wonder why you
Yeah.
got issues, whether it's a friend, a family
Yeah.
member, or somebody else that shouldn't be
Yeah.
involved. And that's
That's
really
a
what
whole nother
happened.
box. A whole nother
Exactly. You
box.
gotta be
Right.
ready to deal with
Right.
you gotta be ready to be
Yeah.
yourself and deal with yourself in your relationship.
Yeah.
If you can't be
Yeah.
yourself in your relationship, it's already
Now,
a wrap.
I'm gonna say this. I don't do relationship books. That's not my forte. Relationships.
Right.
Um, but in my opinion, me and my wife will be married 7 years this month. In a couple weeks, 7 years
Oh,
married, right?
congratulations, 7.
But
Okay.
I think the God number, right? But I
Yep.
think Sean P opinion, it's about having that stubbornness about your relationship. Like, look, you can throw a tantrum, you can say all of that, you can cut up, you can do
Yep.
all
But
whatever you're gonna
I
do.
ain't going
I'm
nowhere.
sitting. Whenever you
Yep.
finish all that, I'm sitting right here.
And that's
I
how
don't
we
care how
both
ugly it
are.
look.
You
I'm
right.
sitting. When you
You
finish
right.
doing all that, you still pouting? You still got attitude? Okay, then I'm be. And you know me, I like to read, so I can easily go. I'm sitting right here. I would just read it like whatever. Like, until you ready to shake back, I would just. You good?
Right.
Okay. Well, I ain't
Yep.
going nowhere. I
Yeah,
ain't
because
going
it's
nowhere.
it's work, man. You can't run from the work.
Yes.
And it reveals the deep down, man, it reveals so much about yourself.
It
You
does.
know,
It's
it
a mirror,
reveals so
right?
much
It's a
about
mirror.
it. Exactly,
It's a mirror.
exactly. And that's the hard part. Because it
Hmm.
honestly, it is easy to run.
Look,
But it boils down to two now what people doing. Of course, you got to have your boundaries and you got to have
of course,
what you
of course,
are not going to accept.
of
But
course.
outside of that, you know,
See, look how magical the conversation is. To a person just listening, they might think that we're quote unquote off, but all of this stuff still deal with your self mastery.
it do.
If you don't master yourself, how you gonna be with somebody else outside of yourself?
Exactly.
You can't control
Exactly.
yourself.
Exactly.
So
Because
self when I saw that title, self mastery, I love anything dealing with mastery anyway. I'm big on that word, big on that term, and in the time we're living in right now, not many folks say, "Man, you know what, Sean? I want to master this." Not many folks say, "Man, I want to master something at my job. I want to master something at my house. I want to master being a better." Many people use the word mastery anymore. So
mm-hmm.
whenever I saw your title of your book being self mastery, I'm all the way tapped in because I love that. So tell me, out of all the topics y'all could have talked about, why self mastery for the second book? Why is that the topic? Out of all the topics, why self mastery?
Okay, well, so for the first book, you know, was about really it's about relationships. Really, it's about understanding yourself and understanding your relationship with other people. A good way to come to a basis of just looking at people, right? Now, in order to really truly be in a place of peace, you gotta master yourself. You know what I'm saying? So you really do have to deal with yourself because everything you're the center point. You know what I mean? And everything else is gonna revolve off of how you dealing with your own self inside. So all your outer is a reflection of the inner. So it was only right to deal with self mastery. Like you said, a lot of people say they want to master a lot of things. And even when they say it, people don't really choose to master themselves. We know a lot of things, but we don't know ourselves.
Well, no,
And that's the big issue when it comes to our relationships, our
yeah.
careers, everything that we doing because we are not in tune with ourselves. And it's so much noise. Now the main thing about it is there's so much noise on the outside. You know, everything is telling you what you gotta be, what you should be, what you should do. When you are already born knowing what you're supposed to be from inside of you. But it's so noisy out here. It's so easy to not to lose yourself and to not know. And that's why so many people, and as us dealing with psychology, so many people come to us dealing with a lot of these things, and a lot of it really truly goes back to be really truly being in tune with yourself. Are you really doing this for you? Are you really doing what are you really doing this for? What is driving you? You know, like because all this is really taking place in your mind. You know, at the end of the day, and I tell people, look, everything is out to get your mind. It wants you to think a certain way, perceive a certain way, but
Yeah.
you got to take your mind. If you want peace, you have to master your own mind, and that
Okay.
was it.
I got a little playful debate. We ain't going back and forth. We just. So we talking about psychology, which normally deals with the mind and the soul, right?
Right?
You have a chapter on the heart.
Mm-hmm.
There's a school of thought that said that you should let your mind lead you, not your heart, because your emotions and your heart could be all over the. There's even a gender debate at times as to who is led by their emotions or whatever, right? So in the book you said the heart is the electromagnetic center of the body, emitting 1,000 times the electricity and magnetism more than the brain.
Mm-hmm.
The heart is 5,000 times stronger than the brain, and it can perform functions like the brain.
Mm-hmm.
More than 60% of the heart cells are neural like the brain. So the question will be, should we be led more by our heart than the brain, or how would you explain that particular juxtapose?
Okay. Well, from the schools of thought, I can see what that would mean in saying not being led from the heart. I think that the correct way to really say that would be not to let your emotions or your feelings. And I know we correlate our heart and
Yeah,
our
these
emotions
words
and
and
our feelings, you know.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
semantics. You know how to do with
yeah,
words,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So I can see that in a sense now. So back now to what I was saying in the book. Okay, well, the first book on numbers, right? We know the number 9 is completion, right? So on average, it's 8. I should have put this in the book, bro. On average, right?
Bonus
It's
content.
right. It's
Bonus
8.
content.
Right. I'm right. It's 18. On average, it's like what 18 inches or something like that from your head to your heart.
Oh,
So
okay.
when you dealing with
Okay.
18, you got 1 and 8 is 9, right?
Okay.
So in reality, you really need your heart and your mind on one accord.
Okay.
You really need your heart and your mind on one accord, which is really, the whole sacred union and everything. So, but
Yeah.
I say all that to say, like, so like when people, it's stories, and you can look it up. People get a heart transplant, and they start to crave things that person that had their heart, wanted, and things
Mm-hmm.
like that. So when I say to
Mm-hmm.
live from your heart, right,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
about your soul. The heart, if the heart houses the soul, then we're saying that you have, like, because your mind is dual. You got a right and a left brain. When you going from your mind, your brain, that's where your ego is, because it's gonna split into right and wrong, And when you dealing from your heart, it's a higher frequency. It's a higher level of knowledge. You just going from your soul. You know what I'm saying? That's why I say in the book that the only guru you really have to follow or should follow is your soul, because the soul know your path. It knows
Yeah.
what you want, what
Yeah.
you truly desire. A lot of times we don't even know deep down what we really desire, and we got to go through some things to really realize what it is that we really want. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
kind of like
And
how I mean it.
like they say in the book, and like we know about, like the Jesus figure, right?
Hmm.
And the old paintings of Jesus might see him with his hand by his heart, and it's glowing like
Right.
by his heart. And then we can go to the secular world, go to Marvel Comics, and of course Iron Man
Iron
got the
Man.
got the got the got the got
Yeah.
the heart piece. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. And that's what he represent. He
So we can go.
represented. He represent the heart. That's why, like, I've never broken these down, but that's why you got the whole Iron Man trilogy, and why he does have to die. Why he dies, he resurrects. He still ends up dying again at the end, of course. But there's the whole concept of the whole thing and realizing the whole Christ energy. But
Yeah. Right.
but yeah.
Right. So now we're gonna juxtapose that with, tell me about the process of rewiring your mind. You said in chapter 4, whenever we're rewiring our mind, we have to remember that feelings follow our thoughts. So what you think is how you feel. Man,
Mm-hmm.
let's break that down, because both of us know, dealing with psychology, dealing with counseling people, helping people, a lot of people have some very nasty, bad, vicious thoughts about themselves. And in my last interview, I talked about, I think it's scientifically shown that we have about like 70,000 thoughts per day, and like 85 of those, 85% of those thoughts being negative, right?
Mm-hmm.
And of those thoughts, a lot of those thoughts are repeated thoughts from the day before.
Mm-hmm.
So you said that feelings follow your thoughts, but so many people have the most
Bad thoughts.
bad intention thoughts about themselves. So how could they start rewiring their mind? Is the question.
Well,
That process.
it's easier said than done. So
Always.
I can't
Always.
front and say that it's easy. It sounds
No,
simple, because
it's not.
it's about feeding. It's about feeding the thoughts that you want to prosper. It's like seeds. You don't want to
Mm-hmm.
water bad seeds and continue to feed bad seeds, but it gets close. You know what I mean? And we don't, and see, it can be hard to get away from, because there's so many outside suggestions, so down to the music we listen to, the stuff we watching on TV, down to the people that we are talking to. See, this is why a lot of people will say you shouldn't tell your dreams to everybody, and people will shoot down your dreams, because your ears, when you dealing with communication, you got
Hey,
two ears and one mouth.
hey, I love connecting everything all the time, right? That's like the thing that we say in our inner circle about like letting just anybody pray for you.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can't just let anybody say, "Oh, I heard about the situation. Let me pray for you real quick." Like, no, I'm gonna pray for myself. Like,
Exactly.
I don't know what's inside of your affirmations or whatever you gonna say. Like, I know my own heart and myself and what I need. I'm gonna pray for myself. I don't need you to go in there and try to intercede for me, because I don't know what the energy is on that. You know what I'm
Yeah, and
saying?
people don't always realize their own power, their own energy. You know what I'm saying? Because that's why I say it's a big difference between jealousy and envy. Like, you gotta be wary of envious people, because them the ones that's gonna be close to you, acting like they cool with you. Meanwhile, they just praying on your downfall, like
Praying
you
on your
saying,
praying on your
praying for man,
downfall.
praying on your downfall.
Praying on your downfall. For real,
Exactly,
man.
exactly.
Literally. But yeah, I mean, I'm always big on that. And there's an old meme in social media land, and it shows like this dark wolf and like this lighter wolf, right? And pretty much
Mm-hmm.
that symbolizes like every day with these 70,000 thoughts. What wolf am I gonna feed the most?
Mm-hmm.
Am I
Yep.
gonna feed this wolf the most? I'm gonna feed that wolf the most. Who am I gonna
Yep.
feed the most with these thoughts and my intentions and my actions? You know,
Yep.
it's
Yeah. So
kind of the
everything I put in the book is something that has helped either one of us it throughout this whole process. So
yeah,
like you said, you gotta rewire your thinking. So you gotta find
yeah.
ways to hear better thoughts. Whether you go to YouTube and let affirmations play all day long,
Come
whether
on, man.
you
Come
fall
on, man.
asleep with affirmations playing,
Come
whether
on,
you
man.
putting up sticky notes right in front of you and you're reading these same things, but you have to find a way to think these different thoughts because when you keep thinking negative thoughts, negative thoughts, negative thoughts, and then you realize something wrong, right? And then you want to change it, but you can't change it, and you realize why you don't have like the energy to change it because
Hmm.
it's already starting here. You're already
Hmm.
twice defeated because in your mind you already not allowing yourself to see it be. It all starts in the mind, and so that's why I say like the whole reapproach we have to darkness and chaos, we got to understand there is a duality to that too. There are things that we have to, that we can look at and understand in a way that we can take and make it good. So that's just transmutation. We do it all the time. We take lemons and we make lemonade. That's what we do naturally as a people anyway.
Yeah,
So we just have to find a way to like you just have to perceive if you in control, then you really have to digest that you perceive things however you want to perceive them, regardless of what somebody else has to say about it. And
yeah.
that is like as simple as it is, bro. It's like a totally different way of viewing the world. You know
It
what I'm
is.
saying?
It
Because like
is.
you can look at
It
things like, well,
is.
dang, if I don't
See,
have this, if you grow up thinking if I don't have this and this and this by this, well, what's gonna happen when you don't get it? You know what I'm saying? Because did you really, it's like, man, I don't, when it all comes down to it, did I really just come here just to, you know what I'm saying, say I got to do
and
this?
I love to always take these interviews a little bit and pause them and slow them down a little bit because we can't all assume that every person watching the video has had as many years of these things as we have had, right?
True.
And
That's true.
some of the practices that we did on a daily basis, let's say 15 whatever years back, and now it's so ingrained in us, it's like second thought almost. They haven't done those sticky note things on the mirror. I remember whenever I was doing that X amount of years ago. I remember when I stopped playing music in my car and I was just playing motivational stuff. Les Brown,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Eric Thomas, Tony Robbins, Napoleon Hill. Like I remember for years I would not play music in the car. Even when I'm working out, I'm playing something motivational. I'm just totally rewiring
Yep.
how I think. So people assume that you're just a positive person, you're just optimistic, you're just naturally happy-go-lucky. Like, nah, things still happen
Nah.
to me.
Yeah,
I
that
still
take
got
work.
adversity and things. I just have the ability to make a better choice from
Exactly. Yeah.
years of those practice reps. It's like playing sports.
Mm-hmm.
You
That's
might start with
true.
all these training wheels to shoot a better jump shot, and then over years, I don't need all these training wheels to have my hand in the right place no more. I just do it by feel.
Yep.
Same thing with this positive conversation we're having right now for the family. You gotta start building those building blocks slowly, man. Affirmations, like the sister said, all kind of things like that is out there. It's
Yeah.
available.
So yeah, find substitutes. But the hard part is when you start to make the changes and you start to, really start being what you seeing yourself as, you're gonna notice the people around you that's
Yeah,
not gonna go with you. And that's
it's
the
gonna change.
hardest part is letting
It's gonna
go of them
change.
people because you be
Yeah,
hoping but that is really the hardest part because you realize,
it is.
man, this environment in itself is not really nurturing to what it is that I'm trying to be. And you start to ask questions and you realize like, these things have to go too. And that's all a part of the process.
Yeah, yeah. Let's go into that chapter about it's not the card that you're dealt, but it's what you do with it. Speaking on our DNA, which we can't control, and They got the good and the bad in all our DNA. They got the good and
Mm-hmm.
the bad attributes, and I think that people underestimate how many things are housed in our DNA. Not just how tall you are and your eye color and things like that. There are certain characteristics that have been passed down for generations, and you're more, I guess, predisposed to certain things versus other things, good and bad. And we got to be able to identify that because sometimes in these households, our parents don't tell us everything that they dealt with, everything our grandparents dealt with. Maybe our grandparents not here anymore,
Yep.
our great grandparents for sure. So we don't realize, like, wait, it's a line of alcoholism, and not just Uncle So and So. Man, the whole line right here dealt with that situation right there, or relationship things, or other things. So let's speak on that a little bit. The DNA, the power in that DNA, man.
Well, I like to kind of bring, I like to bring the science and the spirituality together.
That's what we do.
I kind of do that. But if we are looking at it from a scientific point of view, scientists gonna tell you, they're gonna say, you're genetically predisposition, meaning, oh well, your mother, these people already had these genes where, but the thing about it is gene expression too, though. These genes being expressed and us being in environments that cater to the expression of certain types of genes. So whether
Mm-hmm.
they be negative, more so negative than positive, I would honestly say so, particularly in our environments and our upbringings, because it's
Mm-hmm.
designed that way, the
Yeah.
way, all the way back to how we go to school and everything, because, and we know that genes play a role because whenever they deal with or they create products or whatever, they have to test them building up based upon the DNA, the genetics. Now,
I.e. Henrietta Lacks, her
right,
literal cells. Come on, man.
right now, and so,
Come on, man.
and what they don't really tell you though is a lot of that DNA is what they call junk DNA.
Yep,
So
yep,
they say, hey,
yep.
well, technically their DNA expression is only a small percentage.
It's like 99%, right? Like
Yes,
junk
but
DNA, like 99
right,
something like that.
right. So it's like, man, so you trying to tell me I got all the DNA here, but you don't know what it's for. You don't know what this one little percent over, and that's how reality is in a sense of the physical. So everything we
Yeah.
see physically is like 1%, 2, 3% at most of reality. But reality in totality, everything that we dealing with is 97% to 99% unseen. So there are so many things that goes on that is unseen.
Mm.
So what we see in the gene expression, honestly, that's just the outcome. That's just that's what that's how it's expressed. You feel what I'm saying? So
Mm-hmm,
that's
mm-hmm,
really kind
mm-hmm.
of just
Yeah, I got you.
the whole
I love it.
DNA sense,
Because,
in
once
it.
again, back to being in psychology, I love that whole study of epigenetics, man, and like just the things that they get passed down in the DNA. Once again, even traumas and things like that we've
Is
dealt
yep,
with as a people. I
exactly.
love the study of how that epigenetics impact us to this day, and not
And
a
just
lot of
to
folks not really aware of that, man.
right, and to bring it full circle, like spiritually, so you might have had you might have had 5, 6 generations ago, and a trauma that happened that heavily impacted your bloodline that is now expressed in some way of, maybe it's alcoholism, maybe it's expressed through alcoholism, but
Yeah,
you might be the particular one out of your bloodline that is set to break away
yeah,
from that that predisposition. You know what I'm
right.
saying? You could be the one because you do have that ability within you, because 99% of your DNA, they don't even know what it's for anyway. You know what I'm saying? So they don't even know. So in a sense, and looking at it like that, so because
Facts,
that
man. I
that is
love it.
interesting, like you said, like, because them traumas
Because
can be passed down.
the main point at the end of the day of psychology in most fields is to make a better solution out of something, right? So studying our DNA and epigenetics and everything, the end of the conversation is now I got a heightened awareness of something. How do I avoid that, right? So I
Mm-hmm.
use drinking for an example, for an analogy. I know in my dad's side of the family, there's a good bit of alcoholism going on over there. So
Mm-hmm.
Sean P, like I don't drink. I choose not to drink. I don't drink.
Mm-hmm.
That's my choice because I feel like I know the downfalls of that from the path, right?
Right.
Everything is a big old path, it's a big old chart. I'm seeing clear as day.
Yep.
So if I still make that choice, I can't pretend as if I had no idea. I didn't know it was gonna happen. Like, it's right there. You see it. You know better, you do better. So
Yep.
that's kind of why I go to that DNA conversation so much.
Yep. Yep. I can feel
Make
it.
better choices. Yeah. Next, let's talk about the shadow self. And I'm doing quotations because a lot of times when a person talks about doing shadow work or addressing your shadow self and things like that, it's always seen like a negative thing. Once again, it's always seen like it's a evil kind of concept. Don't play with that. Don't deal with that. Let's talk about the shadow self and take some of that spooky out of it.
Out of it. Yeah.
Let's get into that shadow.
Let's do that. Yeah. Okay. Well, case in point, right? What we
Okay.
was just talking about with the alcoholism.
Okay.
Okay. Now, maybe 100 years ago, right? 200 years ago, maybe back in the 1700s or so, that might have been seen as a spirit. They might have looked at that as, getting drunken with spirits, or it may be more spooky because
Hey,
less information is
they
available.
call it spirits, right? Don't
And
they
I
call it
talk,
spirits?
yep, they do, right? Okay,
They
now,
call it spirits.
so
Facts.
now, oh, hold on, real quick.
Yeah,
Give
do
me
your
some
thing.
weed.
Handle your business. Handle your business. We getting it in with my sister talking about self-mastery. Those that's just joining the live. Breaking down her brand new book, Self-Mastery. Go ahead, I'm serious.
Oh, okay. Oh, I appreciate it.
Commercial,
Yeah, good commercial,
commercial
right?
segue.
So,
Yeah.
so the shadow self is just the part of you that comes out, right, when you're not ready to take responsibility for yourself.
Okay.
That's really all it really is. So
Okay.
it's your lower nature. It is all the things it is all your negative bad habits, all your negative viewpoints and perceptions of yourself that you have trying to hide away in the corner of your mind that you don't want nobody to see. That's your shadow self. And it usually comes out of trauma. Different things happen to us, how you see people. That's why I really wanted it to be around chaos, because I really wanted these conversations around chaos. So you see people, they might spaz out, get real angry, but it's just them trying to protect themselves. They're trying to protect that hurt part of themselves that they don't want nobody to see.
Yeah.
So that shadow is all your trauma. So it's all your red flags. They just did the little red flag thing. All them
Yeah,
little
they
red
did. The
flag
little red
things
flag. Yeah.
is pointing out that shadow.
Trauma. Shadow. Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
not to be, feared or spooky. See, we have to understand that, the terms that coming out of Judeo-Christian and coming out of that period of time, everything was seen as something's going wrong or something being bad in the sense of control and manipulation. We're not living in them times no more.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
because all it is really just
Yeah.
psychology. And being in
Yeah.
psychology, you really
And
understand what it is that I'm saying. But
I wanna raise up two things, right? If not three.
okay.
When it comes to the shadow conversation, my mind goes, you love movie breakdowns. I go straight to that movie that Jordan Peele did, Us,
Mm-hmm.
with the black family,
Yeah.
and they were going against their doppelganger, right? But
Right.
like their shadow, that was like the other parts of them, like the most
Right.
evil, whatever demented part of them was the other person
Yeah, the animal
that was
part.
just like them,
Yep.
right? In Robert Greene book, The Laws of Human Nature, he has a big old thick chapter on the shadow, and I love it. Talking
I ain't
about,
read it yet.
oh, you got to get that free.
I gotta
About
get that one.
look, Fat Boy,
Look, you see, I got his
six,
two. I got the other
six,
two. I got two of them up there. I gotta get that.
600 plus. But in The Laws of Human Nature, whenever that movie came out, I was quoting from that chapter because I was seeing it. A lot of folks didn't like that movie, but I don't think that it was getting what they was looking at.
But
So I
it
was
was
showing them chapters on there, showing like, man, it's like Dr. Jekyll and Mr.
Mr.
Hyde, right?
Hyde. It was triggering, bro. It was
He said the
triggering.
more that I caged that demon, that animal, it came out roaring.
Mm-hmm.
That's a quote in the book. The more
Mm-hmm.
I caged this thing, it came out roaring. And
Mm-hmm.
all of us at our jobs, you feel oppressed by your supervisors, maybe, or the job situation, or the environment, or maybe your spouse, and you just tuck it away. You
Yep.
tuck it away.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, another one, another one. What that TV show was called with the black family, Them,
Them. Yeah,
on
yeah, yeah,
Prime.
yeah, yeah. Prime, yeah,
And the
them.
perfect scene I love the most, that black man was at that job and the white man talked to him sideways crazy.
Mm-hmm.
He just stood up and straightened his little tie, went to the bathroom, and he's just pulling out all the doggone the napkins, right? He went in the bathroom, started closed the door, he's just screaming to the napkin like, oh, like he was trying to get
Yeah.
that energy
The
out, you know
engine
what I'm saying?
out. Yeah,
It
because
was
it
a
was gonna
perfect
fester.
visualization of microaggressions I've ever seen on film. Like,
Now see, look,
that's
peep
how you
this.
really felt.
Now see on them when they were showing him the the man with the face.
Yeah.
That was also a form of his shadow
Like
because
the Bojangles light. Bojangles light
yeah,
home.
yeah,
Yeah.
because too many times he had to question himself about he had to tap dance in his own jaw. See, like the shadow, that's all it is, man. Just like on Squid Game, man. My
I haven't
man went
seen that yet.
my
I haven't
man
seen
went
it
through
yet.
I hate to say it, but he went through
Go ahead, go
all
ahead,
that. My man went through
go ahead.
all the debt
Yeah,
and everything that he was in. And he
yes.
couldn't be a father to his kid and went through all that and still didn't get on the plane, man, because that's how the ego or the shadow will work. Yo, that's how it'll do you because see, that's why your mind, that's why you have to be careful about your mind. You feel what I'm saying? That's why some schools of thoughts will tell you to be worried about your mind and because and how it houses the ego. The movie Revolver really breaks this down because it'll give you so many different forms of logic and will make you see things in such a way that you don't realize that you really going against your own self and you really
Mm-hmm.
just dealing with your own projections
Dealing
out
with
into other
yourself.
people. So that
Yep.
movie Revolver really break it down like the
I gotta
ego
check
or
that out.
the shadow self. It really
I
break
gotta
it. It's
take that.
direct. It's a real direct movie too. It's kind of
I gotta take that. I
goofy,
gotta
but
take that.
yeah, it's a good one that really go into it. But
So
go ahead.
let's let's walk over into your section on fear.
Mhm.
I love the conversation about fear, right?
Yeah,
So
me
it
too.
made me think about the Will Smith movie After Earth, right?
Mhm. Yep.
And let's combine that conversation on fear with everything dealing with the pandemic that we still dealing with right now. Because a lot of the fear is the uncertainty. A lot
Mhm.
of the fear is you not being in control of what's going to happen.
Mhm. Yep.
As far as your literal life, your literal health, and your family,
Yep.
the economy, the vitality of it, job market, you name an aspect of it, it's fear inducing, anxiety producing,
Yep.
depression, suicide at a crazy high level, divorce rate through the roof. All these things are popping off the past year and a half or so. So give us a bit on the fear topic. Let's talk about that. Let's get into it.
Well,
Fear.
it's crazy you said that because I did a podcast just the other day too where I was talking about the mass and everything and it's the times that
Yep.
we're living
Yep.
in. But
Yes, you did. I saw
but
it.
I'm glad you mentioned the After Earth. That's a strong. That movie is just all about fear.
Yes, I
I
loved
really
it.
see what Will had in mind
Friend,
when he made
I
that
was in the
movie.
movie theater like, yes.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
once again, a lot of people didn't feel it.
Didn't like it
It's over
because
your head, man.
right.
Maybe
It
they'll be
wasn't.
getting it, bro.
It was no
They'll
action
be
in it.
getting it.
Not it wasn't enough action for him, but the
They'll be getting
dialogue
it.
and the gems in the movie was unmatched because everything
From
he
the
did in
trailer,
it,
from the trailer alone,
right. But everything
whenever he
in
was
it,
like, fear is not real.
right.
The danger is real.
Yeah.
Fear is not. This that little 20-second clip. I was good. I was good.
But see, I think the most profound part in it to me is when
Yeah.
he tell his son to ground himself. When he
Ground
tells
yourself.
him to ground himself, and he's like, what do you feel? Because in
Yeah.
that moment, in
Yeah.
getting grounded, he had to be present. That's really what he was telling him to do. And that's really what people got to do. You just got to be present. You
Wow.
cannot try and drift into the future, worrying about the future. That's anxiety. You can't worry about the past because that is gone. It's over with and done with. That's just stressful. All you
You
can
just
do is be in the present moment. That was the greatest gem because that's what he was describing. Like all these techniques and things that people can tell you about how to meditate, how to do this and how to do that, all they are really trying to do is to help you to find a place where you can do something ritualistic, that you can calmly be in the moment and just breathe. Just breathe. Just take a minute and just be present where you at, because all this world is nothing but distraction. And in 2021, it's 100 times over. It's
Oh
a
my
hundred
God.
times over, man. Like
Oh my
everything
God.
is just working, trying to hack into your mind. So if people can get that, because there is a healthy amount of fear. I will say this in reference to fear. There's a healthy amount of fear. You are supposed
Oh,
to have some terms of fear. That's how you survive. But you
let me
cannot be in a hyper state of fear. That's going
no,
to drive your
no,
body
no.
into overdrive, like I talk about in the
Let me
book.
let me interject something real fast, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is a 2 day ago conversation, me and my wife. Those
Mm-hmm.
that know it or not, my wife loves fitness and training and everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
She at the gym right now working out.
Mm-hmm.
So she asked me, when a person approaches a heavy amount of weight, that scared feeling like, I don't want to feel like that, what she's trying to tell me. I said, well, babe, nothing about the way that we're originally designed is made to like not fear in that moment. Like you can really get hurt. Like, that's a real thing.
Right, right, right.
If you're lifting the hundreds of pounds, we all seen YouTube videos and TikTok videos. Things happen.
Yeah.
People's legs get snapped in half. Your elbow gets snapped. I mean, weird
Yeah,
things
it do.
happen.
Yeah, yeah.
That's a very real thing that God gave us to protect ourselves.
Right.
So to be very good at most physical endeavors, guess what, friend? You gotta be kind of sort of not right. You gotta be kind of sort of insane to be at a high elite level at some of this physical stuff. You gotta be in a different kind of place because you gotta override that thing that God originally
Mm-hmm.
gave us, right? You gotta be able to override that thing. You're gonna be a rock climber, you're gonna be a skydiver, or whatever the extreme sport might be. You gotta be able to override that fear, right?
Right, right, right.
Is what I'm
Absolutely.
trying to break down to it. Like what you feeling, you shouldn't be shunning that. That's a natural thing you feeling. You supposed to feel that way.
Right. And that's why I talk about that in the book, because it's like you have to have the fear, because
Yes.
how else would you have evidence of being courageous? That's your evidence of being courageous. That's your evidence that you are brave, because you are doing it despite the fear. It's not about making the fear go away, but you
You just
just
said it.
can't let the fear run you. You just can't let it
Despite.
drive you. Exactly.
Despite. See,
Exactly.
people think because we on these cameras on a regular basis, or I might go in front of a crowd, they think that I am absent of fear before that moment or in the moment, like anybody else.
Right.
I'm just as nervous as anybody else. Before I came and set up, I'm sitting in the coffee shop. I'm kind of got a little pitter patter going on like anybody else.
Yep.
I just expose myself to it on a regular basis to where it lessens, right? So I
Mm-hmm.
told my wife in the Robert Greene book, The 50th Law, 50 Cent said the first time somebody drew a gun on him, he was froze. Like, can't believe it happened. The second time, he was a little bit scared. The third time, it was like, it didn't matter the third time.
Yeah. Man, that's
Because
amazing what you be used to.
exposure leads to expansion, is what I told my
Yeah.
wife. I love that quote. As you expose yourself to more things, you can override,
Mm-hmm. But Sean, you know
those
you
things.
exhibit that now. You a Sag. You a Sagittarius now. Everything you do is expanding that all the time.
Come on, man. Come on,
but
man.
but you right though. I mean you right though. At the end of the day, like it's not gonna go away. And I
It's
tell
not.
people that, you
It's
know,
not.
and it's
It's
I
not.
think that it's the expectations that get people. I think that people have this certain idea of what it's supposed to be like, or what they're supposed to feel, or how they're supposed to feel. And it's like, no, everybody feels exactly what you're feeling right now. Everybody feels scared.
Everybody.
Everybody don't know. Nobody
Everybody.
knows. Nobody,
Everybody.
everybody's winging. That's why I tell them, I be like, look, everybody winging it. I said, you think they know more, they really don't.
Come
Everybody's
on,
winging it.
man.
Don't nobody know.
Some folks just more slick at putting it together in a format to where it look like, man, they on their game.
Exactly.
You talk to them in private, man, how you wrote that, man? I don't know how I wrote that. It was just coming that
It
night.
just came to
I don't
me.
know
Yep.
how I wrote that. I don't know how I did that speech 5 minutes ago. It just, like you said, they putting it together, man.
Yep. And so, but you know, and since then though, it's been I've had a lot of people to come to me about, writing a book. Like, man, I always wanted to write. you know, or and all this. And I was like, man, it was
Man,
easy, man. It ain't hard to do. You can self-publish, man. I'm like, this something you want to do.
Instagram, Instagram trying to censor me, man. I got like 13 seconds left. Before I had unlimited time. I don't know why they giving me a time limit lately. But that's my interview with you, my sister. They cut me off in 5 seconds, but I enjoyed it. I
Peace
loved
out,
it.
y'all.
Buy the video.